Someone paid $89 to sleep on a ship last night. The company made $1,400 off them before breakfast. If that sounds like a magic trick, it is. Royal Caribbean posted $1.8 billion in net profit in a single quarter. Carnival Corporation generates more daily revenue than the GDP of several sovereign nations. The industry lost $50 billion across 2 COVID years and came back posting record profits. None of that makes sense if you think cruise lines sell holidays. They don't. The holiday is what they tell you you're buying. What you're actually purchasing is something considerably less romantic and considerably more profitable for everyone except you. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what that is. 3 companies control 75% of the global cruise market: Carnival Corporation, Royal Caribbean Group, and Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings. Between them, 100 ships, 35 million passengers annually, $40 billion in combined revenue. A modern, large cruise ship costs $1 to $1.4 billion to build. Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas, launched in 2024 and currently the largest moving object ever put on water, cost $2 billion. It carries 7,600 passengers and 2,350 crew, a floating city of 10,000 people. Carnival has 14 new ships on order. The industry contracted during COVID and returned to record profits in 2023 and 2024. This is not tourism. This is a capital-intensive industrial operation that has correctly identified leisure as a delivery mechanism for something far more profitable. Here's what a cruise line actually is, stated plainly: a floating mall that also moves. A shopping mall doesn't make money from foot traffic. It makes money from tenants, retailers and restaurants paying rent to access captive consumers. The mall operator fills the building, then sells access to everyone who wants a piece of those people. A cruise ship is identical. The cruise line fills the ship. Then it monetizes every square foot through internal operations or revenue-sharing arrangements: the casino, the spa, the specialty restaurants, the shore excursion desk, the art auctions. The passenger didn't buy a vacation. They bought admission to a controlled retail environment they cannot exit for 7 consecutive days. The ocean is incidental. It's what stops them leaving. The base ticket covers the cabin, the buffet, and access to the ship. Average ticket revenue per passenger per day on a mass market line: $75 to $110. That number sounds reasonable until you understand it is the cover charge. Everything after that is onboard revenue. Drinks packages, $60 to $100 per person per day, sold separately after you've already committed to the voyage. Specialty dining, $30 to $60 per meal. The casino runs an identical house edge to any land-based operation, with the critical difference that the customer cannot drive home. Shore excursions booked through the ship carry a 30 to 50% markup over the same tour bought independently on land. Nobody mentions that at the excursion desk. Royal Caribbean's onboard revenue per passenger per day, around $65. Combined with the ticket, real yield per passenger runs $150 to $175 per day. Multiply by 5,000 passengers, multiply by 365 days. One large ship, $275 to $320 million in annual revenue. Royal Caribbean operates 65 ships. Do that arithmetic yourself. The most profitable operation on a cruise ship is not the bar, not the casino, not the spa. It's the art auction. Companies like Park West Gallery operate onboard auctions across major cruise lines under revenue-sharing agreements. Passengers, relaxed, slightly intoxicated, feeling loosely wealthy because the ticket felt cheap, spend an average of $700 per transaction on artwork they cannot properly inspect, cannot easily return, and will discover they cannot resell at anything near the price paid. Park West moves an estimated $300 million in art annually through cruise ship auctions alone. The cruise line collects a cut of every sale without holding a single piece of inventory or employing one art expert. The most profitable square foot on the ship is the room where passengers spend money on something they had no intention of buying when they boarded. That is the cruise industry in one sentence. A cruise ship is a cattle auction with a water slide. The passengers are genuinely on holiday. The drinks are cold, the sunsets are real. But every environmental decision, The layout, the lighting, the missing clocks near the casino, the duty-free shop positioned between the gangway and the cabin corridor serves one objective: maximize time spent separated from money. The ship doesn't trap anyone. It simply makes leaving feel unnecessary. The equation: controlled headcount times captured spend times zero tax structure times asset leverage. Controlled headcount: a full ship is a captive audience with no competitive alternatives. Captured spend: every dollar spent on board stays on board. There is no cheaper bar around the corner. Zero tax structure: ships register under flags of convenience: the Bahamas, Panama, Liberia. Carnival pays an effective tax rate under 1% on billions in profit, legally. Asset leverage: each ship is collateral for financing the next. The fleet expands on debt secured against existing vessels. Remove any variable and the model weakens. Together, they produce margins no land-based hospitality business has ever replicated. The success: Royal Caribbean's CocoCay, a private island in the Bahamas developed for $250 million, where Royal Caribbean ships dock exclusively. Passengers spend the day buying Royal Caribbean food, drinks, and excursions on land. Royal Caribbean controls entirely. Estimated incremental annual revenue: $100 million from one island. A second private destination is currently under construction. The failure: Costa, Concordia, January 2012. The ship struck a reef off Italy due to an unauthorized course deviation by the captain. 32 people died. The salvage operation cost $1.5 billion, more than the ship's value. Carnival absorbed hundreds of millions in uninsured losses. Bookings across the entire Carnival group fell for 2 years. One decision by one employee destroyed years of compounded revenue. That is the risk profile of a business that floats. Here is what the industry prefers you not examine closely. A cruise line is not a hospitality company. It is a sovereign entity that moves. Ships sail under foreign flags. Crew, typically from the Philippines, Indonesia, and Eastern Europe, work on contracts outside US or European labor law, earning wages illegal in the countries whose passengers they serve. The corporate structure sits in jurisdictions chosen to eliminate tax liability in the countries generating the revenue. When something goes wrong, an assault, an injury, a death, jurisdiction is deliberately ambiguous, and the passenger signed away most of their rights on page 11 of a document they didn't read. No land-based business operates this way. A hotel in Miami cannot register in Panama to avoid Florida taxes. A restaurant in London cannot employ staff on Liberian contracts. A theme park cannot sail into international waters when a regulator arrives. The cruise industry does all of this, on every sailing, entirely legally. That is not a loophole. That is the architecture. The question at the start: how does an $89 ticket produce $1,400 for the operator? The ticket was never the revenue. It was the mechanism for placing a paying adult inside a controlled, pre-monetized, legally sovereign environment, where their time, their options, and their legal recourse belong in various proportions to the company that sold them the holiday. They bought a vacation. The cruise line sold them a week inside a jurisdiction it designed, owns, and operates entirely outside the regulatory frameworks governing every other business they use. You cannot build this on land. No government would allow it. Which is why, at some point, someone looked at the ocean and had an extraordinarily profitable thought. The water has no rules. Let's go there.